You ever watch something so small, so ordinary, that you almost don't notice it? A piece of toast, dry, plain, on a quiet morning. And a child, your child, quietly chewing, not complaining, not asking for more. That's what I saw. That's what broke me open. Not a fight, not a crisis, just toast and silence. I didn't say anything, not at first. I just watched. And somewhere deep in the silence between their chewing and the ticking of the kitchen clock, I saw myself. Because once, I had been that child too. There's a kind of hunger that's not just about food. It's about permission. Permission to want more, to say, I'm still hungry, to feel deserving of more than just enough to survive. And when I looked at my child that day, I saw generations of silence sitting at that table, unasked questions, unspoken needs, unfelt feelings. I remembered sitting with my own father, who worked hard, who provided, who never really looked me in the eye during dinner. Not because he didn't love me, but because somewhere in his life, someone told him that love was silent, stoic, sacrifice. And I, like him, had inherited that silence. Until now. I didn't realize how much silence I had inherited and passed on. It didn't show up in shouting matches. It showed up in the quiet moments. Like when my child hurt themselves and looked around and chose not to cry. Or when they gave away the last cookie to a friend and said they weren't hungry. That's when I saw it. That familiar shrinking. That invisible armor I had taught them, not with words, but with example. Because for most of my life, I believed silence was safer than vulnerability, that being easy was better than being real, that not asking was nobler than needing. But what I didn't know was this. When a child grows up constantly accommodating others, they don't just become kind. They become invisible, even to themselves. They become adults who apologize before speaking, who say, I'm fine when they're anything but, who lower their voice, shrink their appetite, and forget how to ask for joy. So when I saw my child eat toast without asking for more, I didn't just see hunger. I saw erasure, and I couldn't unsee it, not anymore. So I changed that morning. Not everything, just enough to notice. I put another slice of toast on their plate, warm this time. And I said, you don't have to earn this. You can just have it. They blinked at me like I had broken a rule. And maybe I had. Maybe I was breaking a generational rule. One that says love is sacrifice, not sufficiency. That silence is virtue. That hunger makes us humble. But I want something else now. I want softness to be sacred. I want my child to believe they're worthy of comfort without condition, that they can speak up, be seen, take space, that they don't have to inherit my restraint. They can inherit my healing instead. Later that night, after my child had gone to bed, I stood in the kitchen. The light above the sink flickered, soft and quiet, and I made myself toast. Not because I was hungry, but because I needed to remember something. The taste of what I once settled for, the silence that used to wrap around every meal, the absence of permission. I sat down, held that dry toast in my hands, and breathed. And I remembered a time when that was enough for me, not because I wasn't hungry, but because I believed I didn't deserve more. And for the first time, I whispered to the child still living inside me, you can ask for more now. It's safe. He didn't answer, but something softened. You see, healing doesn't always arrive in big, cinematic moments. Sometimes it looks like sitting alone at your kitchen table, talking to the parts of you that never got spoken to. Sometimes it looks like refusing to eat in silence, like putting jam on the toast, like buying the soft bread instead of the cheap one, like pouring a full glass of milk. It's not about luxury, it's about presence. It's about saying with every action, I am no longer punishing myself. I am no longer starving just to seem strong. I am no longer passing down what I was too scared to question. And the more I let myself feel that, the more I could see my child differently. Not just as someone to protect, but someone watching me, learning from how I treat myself. And that's when I knew. My healing is not separate from theirs. It's the soil they grow in. So I started doing small things, things no one else noticed, but I did. I started sitting at the table, not just rushing past it. Started asking, what do you feel like eating today? Not, what do we have? Not, what's cheap? Just, what would bring you comfort? And when my child said, I don't know, I didn't fill the silence with advice. I waited, because maybe no one ever waited for me to answer either. And slowly, they began to tell me. They like the crusts cut off. They don't like peanut butter. They want hot soup when it rains. And every time they asked for something, I gave it to them. Not just the food, but the permission. It wasn't always smooth. There were days I reverted. Days I told myself, this is too much. Days I snapped at a small mess and saw fear flicker in their eyes. But the difference now? I didn't ignore it. I didn't bury it. I came back. Came back to the table, to the softness, to the child in front of me and the child inside of me. And I said, I'm sorry. That wasn't about you. That was an old version of me trying to speak again. And they forgave me. Children always do. Because what they crave isn't perfection, it's presence. I used to think parenting was about shaping a child. Now I think it's about unshaping the armor I passed down. Sometimes I still catch myself, hoarding guilt, feeling like I'm too late, that the damage was done, that I've already passed too much down. But then I remember. Every time I choose softness over silence, I'm interrupting the inheritance. Every time I sit with my child, not to teach, but to listen, I'm planting something new. Not obedience, but trust. Not restraint, but relationship. I can't go back in time, can't rewrite every moment of absence, but I can be here now, fully, with warm bread and open eyes, with the courage to say, you don't have to earn your place at the table. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to hide your hunger anymore. And maybe one day, when my child grows older and they sit with someone they love and see them hesitate over a slice of toast, they'll remember. And they'll say what I once struggled to. You can have more if you want. That will be my legacy. That will be the healing. Not what I gave, but what I finally allowed. 'Cause sometimes love sounds like this. A warm plate, a quiet kitchen, and a voice that finally breaks the silence to say, you don't have to go without anymore.